So this is the topic of what Gloria J. Myers did to her daughter while her daughter was
Mm,
growing up, and
mm.
it's not cute. So this is the intro by her daughter.
Okay, so I'm Erica, and um, we are talking about the things that Gloria either did or allowed to be done to me. Um, I can say good things, I can say bad things, but I definitely can say real things. And growing up, I don't believe that. Well, it's not I believe, I know. Gloria didn't really have a mother gene, pun intended, Gloria gene in her body in a way. I actually didn't find out until I was 35 that she never wanted kids. Um, but applying that to how I grew up, I can see that that was the truth because I always, in some sort of way, whether I knew how to express it, I guess I want to say that I was a burden. And maybe me and Marty both could have been seen as a burden, but definitely me because I feel that what her lack thereof and how things went down, that it was more like if she didn't have me, she could have flourished. And I've actually told this to her. So if I'm ever not here or something happens or whatever, and she ends up ever hearing this, she'll know that I had already said this to her as well. That I didn't feel that she should have been a mother because I feel like she could have flourished more in her life and she could have went on and did her own thing. But what happened with me is that like I was neglected a lot. Um, and I probably instilled in me being very independent and confident and making shit happen in my life because I didn't I never experienced a motherly anything. Most of my friends that I know and family, I don't think they did either. To tell you the truth. But from the time I was a little kid, except when I was a little kid, that's when she seemed like she kind of wanted to be a mommy. But as I was growing up, it was never easy to make me be someone I'm not. And I think that that was frustrating to her because that's who she was. Her degenerate family made her like that. And when she tried to pass that on to me, I wasn't feeling it. So we clashed a lot. And we didn't really start getting cool or close until like I was a little older, possibly in my early 20s. And I kind of feel that if there could have been a do-over, it still stands the same that I feel like she would have been able to flourish a lot more without me. So I guess in a way that's my introduction. I guess I want to say. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
okay.
considered an introduction, but that's
Oh, it
basically what
is.
came off the
Oh, that
that's
is.
what
That's a
came off
hell
the
of an
top of my
introduction.
head right now.
Uh-huh. All right, so the five W's: who, what, when, where, and why. So let's start with the who. So here's my narrative questions to you, Erica. Who is Gloria Myers? Who is Gloria J. Myers to you? Who is the woman that made your life so horrible growing up? Who allowed this to happen?
Hmm,
Who else aided her in making your
mm,
life miserable?
mm,
Who
mm,
was the father figure around this time? Who is the father, by the way? And who are the other players that literally came to your rescue, came to your side, came to comfort you? And who are the ones that did not? Who out of everybody that was living at the time could you trust to get through this traumatic situation? And who's the one person that you definitely could not trust no matter what, that you felt was the absolute worst in this situation? I'll let you go.
Well, I'm gonna answer that question in a remix from a reverse standpoint as well. Who was there for me growing up is Marty Lamar. Marty always made sure, like you're not Marty, right? Marty always made sure that I had what I needed, even down to food. So as Marty got older, it worked out better for me. Like as the teenage years progressed, it's like we knew what we wanted and needed. So when it came to food, Marty made sure I was fed. Um, when I was young, when Marty was in the drum corps, Mrs. Dillon, Mr. and Mrs. Dillon was always around as parental figures, but specifically Mrs. Benner, which is Nathan and David's mom. She was very, very motherly to me and Marty, and we stayed at her house quite a bit. Her kids are mixed race. They're black, actually, and we all looked like we was siblings, pretty much. And she would take us in as her own, basically. Um, they were always just there for us. Also, Marty's friend Mark Cook, his mom loved me so much she wanted to adopt me, like really wanted to adopt me. She was so nice and kind to me. Um, Also, I can say grandma was a figure to me and Pearl because I always wanted to be in New Jersey, mainly because of Shamilia and wanting to be with her because she was like my sister. But at the same time, I knew that the the basics were going to be taken care of because that's just the type of people that they were. So to answer the question, who is Gloria J. Myers to me as a mother? I guess that's the question in a way. Um, when I was a little kid, I could say when I was one, two, three, four, five, six, Gloria actually was a good mom. Like she was a mommy then. I'm not gonna front. Like I felt like I had a mommy. Like I do. I don't see where she failed in that aspect. Um, but maybe I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of follow your mom. And so I felt like she took care of me good. I do remember certain things, like I remember how she used to get me dressed in the morning and stuff like that. She was very intentional of making sure I had a bath or, I was clean and I had nice clothes and, stuff like that. She always made sure that somebody did my hair because she didn't know how to do no hair. Um, she kept me up. She kept me right. As I got a little older, I think she started to regret the fact that she had kids because it's a lifetime a lifetime job. And as I started getting older, I had my own mind and did my own things. And she didn't at first she didn't really care. Like she was very dismissive in the way that she well actually I could say this as well. I was self sufficient. Me and Murdy was self sufficient. So I think that helped a lot because she didn't have to deal with us too much. And me, because Marty was always at the drum corps or with the drum corps people. Me, on the other hand, because I'm a girl, I wasn't really going to people's house like that. They didn't really play that. So I had my own thing going on. But as I got to about like 10, 11, that's where the neglect really hit a high point. And mom didn't seem too interested. I don't know what the fuck. She was out there fucking around because when it came to like food and stuff, she didn't care. Like I would be like, "What's for dinner?" Anything you could find, and she would leave me in the house and was like literally hardly any food in the house, and I was like fucking starving. And so when I used to go couple houses down to Marty's friend Chris and my friend Carrie. Their mom. I used to be at their house playing with Carrie, and a lot of times Miss Weston would ask me if I wanted to stay for dinner. It got to the point where I damn near was at their house for dinner 4 days out of the week, 4 nights out of the week, at least 3 nights, so 3 to 4, unless grandma was in at the house or dad was off. Um, Also, who Gloria was to me then was she like an authoritative figure. I want to say, I guess she wanted things to be done. So because she was in the military, she tried to treat us in that militant way of making sure we cleaned up the house and we cleaned up after her and all this bullshit. So it was kind of annoying. And from there, that's what made me be like, yeah, I want to get the fuck up out of here. She was influenced, and I'm going to say this very clearly. She was influenced by her aunt, Fanny McKinney Love. She was very much so influenced by that lady. That lady wanted to run Gloria's life so much that she wanted to run my life through Gloria. And so as I started to become of age and, what little girl doesn't like boys and shit like that, they tried to paint me as a future whore in a way. And Gloria fell for that. And it was like trying to make me feel bad all the time and trying to make me look like a person that I wasn't. So that's the number one person that was like the bad influence. Also, Deborah Moore, which is Gloria's sister. She was a well known hater, and we didn't realize until we got older. But as a kid, I guess she was hating on me too. And what I'm really saying is that these people try to put their negative influence so much on Gloria to get to me, and that's how I feel. I don't give a fuck. Now, father figure, that would be dad, but dad wasn't. He was the normal. Like at that time, a lot of married women were like single mothers because dad wasn't really like an authoritative person to us. He kind of let us do whatever fuck we wanted to. He was just kind of like it was like having an uncle. You know what I mean? Like an uncle that let you do whatever you want. And dad was always working and he was always tired. So he didn't want to have to deal with shit like that. Like his thing when he was with us or me and Murdy was like, we're gonna do stuff. We're gonna do fun stuff. We're gonna go to Riverside. We're gonna go to the beach. We're gonna go fishing. We're gonna go shopping at this grocery store. That was really what we was doing. Dad didn't really care about the whole like, oh, I gotta be your dad. Put my foot down. Tell you no. He would tell you yeah in a heartbeat, or his famous line, "Go ask your mother." And sometimes she would play that shit too. Go ask your father. But that was the thing. I don't know if he noticed the things that she was not doing or was. And even so, he probably didn't really care because he was tired all the time and he was working 2, 3 jobs. And, that pretty much was it. Like, we didn't have that type of relationship of, oh, I need your help. I need you to check her. Because it wasn't like a parent like that. I started to realize those things later on in life. So yeah, she had bad influence from her family alone. And I want to say a couple of her friends, um, friends that don't even have daughters, by the way, that will try to tell, because they're older than her, will try to tell her how to raise her kids. So yeah, that's who Gloria was to me as a child.
Okay, cool. So, what is now we at the what from the five W's? What is the most embarrassing memory you have of Gloria and you during this state of her being the greatest mother in the world? Yeah, right. What is the emotion you had what's the most embarrassing time you ever had with Gloria? What what did it mean for you to go through that as a young person growing up in today's society? What did it do for you for your confidence? What did it do for your non-confidence? What did it do for you for you having friends? What did it do? And what I mean by did it do? What did Gloria's motherly love, influence, whatever you want to call it, what did it do to you physically, mentally, spiritually? What what case would you have if you were to take Gloria to court, and what would you charge her with? You know, what would you what would you charge her family with? That made it so difficult for you to grow up happy, you know? What would it take for you to forgive them? What would it take for you to forgive her? Go ahead. Oh, that's a hard one.
Aiding and abetting negligence to the child. So
Mm,
my embarrassing moment, this would be good for her. To be honest, I can't really think of something that I would consider an embarrassing moment when I was younger. Maybe when I was older, and I'll get to that later. But growing up, I wouldn't say it was like embarrassment, but she was kind of mean. Um, some of my friends, I'm not necessarily sure. Like I didn't really have my friends around her like that. The only friend would be like Carrie, and she was very nice to Carrie. She loved Carrie. Um, it was, I guess it was just how she was to me. Mom was pretty mean. She was pretty strict. Not strict in a way that we couldn't do stuff. It's just that she's just kind of mean, really, honestly. Mom and dad both were mean. Like me and Marty got in trouble all the time for no reason. Especially Marty would get in trouble. Mom would be yelling at him for no reason. So, um, that was kind of how it was when we were younger. When I was younger, she was more just mean, like for nothing. Like I don't believe I did anything, and I know I didn't do anything because even now she'll say how we were good kids. I know for sure I was a good kid. I didn't give grief and just I just wasn't like that. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't doing like crazy stuff. I had a mouth on me in a little way, but not a disrespectful mouth. Just I could be sarcastic. Um, because why not? You know, um, if I was to take them to court and charge them with negligence of how I was treated, and I just don't feel that things that should have been were done the right way. I'm thinking that a type of person like me would have thrived off of having and I know we talked about this before, like it's not so much of like having family time and family whatever, but like damn nigga, a home cooked meal would have been nice. Possibly like a couple nights a week at least, maybe like three as a growing child, I'm saying, mom was totally against all that. She just didn't want to engage in that. If we did get anything to eat, it was fast food or bullshit or cereal or something like that. So like I just felt neglected. That's what I'm saying, the negligence of neglect. And that was her family helping her as well because it's like, you don't need to pay attention to them. Pay attention to us. Do for us more than your own fucking kids. And like I said, I think that goes back to her ultimately not really wanting to have kids. And the way it made me feel emotionally, physically, well, physically, I was fucking hungry a lot of my life. Um, and it sucked because we lived in the suburbs and mom and dad would always throw in our face how we didn't live in the hood, like as if that was our problem or our choice. Like maybe we wouldn't have even minded being in the hood. We were kids. Why you gonna throw that in the kids' face? Oh, y'all should be happy. You should be lucky you ain't in the hood. But when you're neglecting a child, none of that means anything because now you're living the same. Unfortunately, now you're living the same type of life that the kids in the hood is living because their whole childhood is about neglect, especially when it comes to not having enough or enough to eat or what have you. Also, at the same time, unbeknownst to me, beknownst, whatever, mom had an addiction to money that I didn't realize until I got in my 40s. But looking back, her addiction to money and not just money, but at the time her being young, her addiction to money and being the center of attention, it was what took over, and that helped her. It helped her neglect me and Murdy, but because I'm younger, especially me, because Murdy went to college when I was like 11. So that was even worse because it's like, oh shit, now I'm here by myself trying to fend for myself and deal with this stuff being a child, a preteen, not even a teen, and then I had to navigate everything by myself for a certain amount of years. Um, so as far as forgiving and all that shit, her family can kiss my ass. I've already forgiven her in the moment because all of the things that I've done for her my whole life. Even when I had my own shit and shouldn't have been struggling, I end up struggling because I was quote unquote helping her. So I probably never looked at it as me being mad at her and having to forgive because I feel like that all of that spoke for itself. I still helped her my whole life. Um, so when I got of age and I started having a job or so much of a almost like a career, and I had money coming in because I worked for it, I always helped her every week, every whatever. I always helped her. So I guess I didn't have enough time to think whether I should forgive her or not. I mean, you just kind of do for your parents, whether they fuck you over or not. That's the way of a black life, at least.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So when now we have to when the W's, the third W, when did this all take place? When did this occur? When did you realize that your life wasn't like everybody else's? When did you realize that you were getting messed over by your mother? When did you realize that your father wasn't there like other fathers? When did you realize that your siblings, brother and sister, or however you want to say, sibling or siblings, when did you find out that they were treated differently than you? When was enough enough? And when did you decide to call it quits as far as leaving home, where you wouldn't have to endure anything else? Or when did you tell them to stop messing with you? Or when did you think that letting this go on, it would automatically fix itself? When was the last time you cried over this? When was the last time you had a hearty laugh over this? When was the last time you got revenge because of this on the people that we're talking about and others in your atmosphere? Go.
Well, when to answer the first part of the question, when this was going on, I was a young person, so probably late 80s, early 90s. That's when I realized. What made me realize is being at other friends' homes, um, where their family structure was pretty much the same as ours, which was four people in the house. It was two kids and two parents. So I would say specifically like um Mickey's home, even though their shit fizzled out, but the one thing that their mom and dad did, yeah, they went to work like our parents, but they came home and the mom or dad cooked and they all had dinner at the table. Um, Chris and Carrie, the same thing at their home. Their mom worked a full job, their dad too, and then they came home and cooked dinner and they all ate. And I used to wonder, well, why the hell can't my mother do that? Now, granted, I understand that dad worked two jobs, so when we got home, he was sleeping and he was leaving to go to um his other job at like 9 or 10 at night. But now that I look back on it, we all could, at least me, Marty, and Mom could have ate. Or even if we didn't eat together, at least she could have came and cooked something that we could have had to eat. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like whatever. But that's kind of my first acknowledgement of like, yo, this is kind of different. And then other people, but there were some other friends in the neighborhood who their parents worked a lot of hours too, so they didn't have like the normal structure of sitting down at a meal and eating. Maybe that meant more to me when I was a little kid, but what meant more than anything is to have something. And we didn't. And I later found out the reason why is because mom was so addicted to money that even feeding us was taken away from her cash, from her addiction. So that's sad, but whatever. Um, the way that made me feel growing up, it almost became normal. So I didn't have time to feel bad about it because I just felt that, well, this is our life. This is how we're living. Um, I didn't realize what she was doing, the detriment that she was doing, and me getting the brunt of it. I didn't realize the bad part about it until I was older, until I was able to look back on life and be like, wait a minute, that wasn't supposed to happen. Um, so yeah, that started in the 80s to the early 90s. When I decided it was time for me to go, I knew from jump. When I get grown, I'm out. I'm out. So at the time when you get grown, you're 18 and you could be out. But the problem was I did not want to go to college, and I was pretty much damn near threatened that I'm going to college. And I guess at first I thought it's because she wanted me to better myself and do right or whatever. Most people, parents was like threatening them to go to college, but in my mother's mindset, it was more so she could look good to other people, her family, and like, yeah, my kids have college degrees and yours don't. So that's pretty much what that was about. And I did go to college at first, but I ended up leaving from college because it was ignorant as hell. No shade to the HBCUs, but I'm gonna say the real deal. I went to a HBCU and I was mortified. Mortified because of the fact that these people were stupid as hell. The classwork was dumbed down, and the people that I was surrounded by was just, I don't know, it just wasn't my cup of tea. It was down south, and that wasn't for me. I needed to be in the city. That was my thing. That was how I rolled. So, I initially left for college. Then that didn't work out because apparently my mother wasn't gonna have enough money for me to continue in college, but her dumbass let me go anyway. I would have had to leave anyway because she wouldn't have had the money because she was spending it. And so I left on my own anyway because it wasn't for me. And then when I was 18, I left for real. I moved around. I was in different towns in Connecticut, staying with different people or whatever. And then when I was 19, I had moved into a studio at Robin's house in New Haven. So a few of us moved there. It was me and like a few of my friends, and we all were working real hard at music and stuff like that. And that was good for me because that's what I was really passionate about. And so it was a double win because I didn't have to be in the house with my parents. Like I didn't have to live at home. And that's when I originally got out. I fully got out when I was 19. Um, the unfortunate thing is that I did go back for possibly half of a year, and when I turned 21, and then I ended up moving to New York in 2002 when I was 22, and that was really the start of me becoming a real adult where I did not have to come back to the home. Like I didn't have to live with my parents at all. And I wanted to get away, but I wanted to grow and flourish. And me being in New York was perfect because I could spread my wings for real and get into my craft, which was photography and um, videography and anything to do with the camera. That was my thing. So me being away, that was what I needed to do, and I was able to get away 2002 altogether. And
Nice.
that was a good
Cool.
thing. That was a great thing actually.
Mm. So, so now we're on the fourth one, but we're gonna who, what, when, where, who, what, when, where. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
stop this because we're at 30 minutes. So I'm gonna stop
Okay.
this and we're gonna continue on another one.